So let's just recap who I have to follow. I have to follow FC Barcelona, Man U, Facebook, a brain doctor, the Olympics, and a guy who sailed around the world. So, mon Dieu. One thing before I begin, I want to thank the young women upstairs because je ne comprends pas tout le temps parce que je parle franglais. So I appreciate them very much. Bon travail. I want to begin with a video, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. Miguel?
Faith. By definition, it's something that is felt with strong conviction without tangible evidence of its existence. Many claim to have it, but how do we attain it?
This is the place where history will be remembered.
History will be embraced.
History will be honored.
This is our home and yours.
This is where we all come to play.
And play hard.
Welcome home.
Welcome to Levi Stadium.
Welcome to Levi Stadium.
Well, I'm a faithful 49er, 49er do or die. A team as great as the Golden Gate plays in the city we love. We never give in to a lost friend. We never give in to a foe. 49er victory, 49er fever. I am a 49er fan. My name is Manny, and I've been faithful since 47. Go Niners!
And he's into the end zone. He's done it. And the 49ers have taken the lead. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, 49ers. Let's come together and take it home. Let's go. It's our house. Lightning tackle. After tackle.
That's a little bit about what we do here. Hopefully my clicker will behave. It will. That's me. I'm Rob Alberino. I'm the vice president and executive producer for the 49ers. And today we're going to talk a little bit about fan engagement. Our good friends at SAP did a great job of showing globally how that really comes together and kind of connecting people. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how we put things together from a boots on the ground scenario. And I think the best way to lead off is just to give you a little idea of where I've been, because all the things I've learned in my 20-plus years in the NFL have led me to the decisions that I make today in how we strategically invest in engaging with our fans. I'm a storyteller. I'm a writer, producer, director, probably not unlike many of you here. And I love the core of connecting with a fan via storytelling. I was able to be a filmmaker for NFL Films, which is really the Hollywood of sports in North America. Worked with one of the most iconic filmmakers on earth, Steve Sable. He passed away in 2012, but Steve took sort of the visceral excitement that you get from football and transformed it in a very different way. He told stories, and he used drama and music and writing to really get it across, and I think he was a big part of how the NFL became very popular. Then I moved from NFL Films, worked for the Philadelphia Eagles, was part of one of the very first in-house production groups in all of North America for professional sports. Teams all over the world have these now, but in the mid-90s they did not. We were able to really pioneer that space, and over a course of time, I made my way to the Kansas City Chiefs, doing very much the same work. However, at that point, I took over the marketing arm, and I was able to sort of get together the content as well as really the analytics behind it. So this is where the journey kind of began to tie data together with specifically the content that we were creating. In 2013, I then ended up in the Bay with the San Francisco 49ers and really tied everything together. Now I'm also in charge of marketing, brand, creative, and really all the arms of fan engagement with the team. So connecting with fans for us it's actually, it's not as challenging as it has been in the past. You know, we have something that a lot of teams don't have, and I've been speaking with a lot of the folks here, and one of the biggest challenges is access. We have exceptional access. And we try to bring our faithful, that's what we call our fan base, the faithful. We try to bring our faithful as close to the team as possible. We live with the players. We wire our players for sound during practices. We wire our coaches for sound during practices. We eat with our players. We travel with our players. We go to their families' homes. We're with our players all the time. So access is not an issue for us, and it's one of our best weapons in our arsenal. And we have very uncommon content. We do, I think, a very good job of trying to unearth incredible stories. We have celebrities who are fans of the team. We have musicians. We have fans who have been around for 71 years. I know that's actually fledgling compared to some of the Premier League teams, but in the NFL, that's a pretty good run, and we're here to stay in the Bay. But how do we tie that together, right? Content and stories aren't necessarily engaging with the fan. That's kind of a one-way street. So the question is, what's next, right? How do we take these things sort of to the next level? What are we looking at? What kind of products are we looking at? I think I speak for everybody in this room when I say, you know, budgets are shrinking, you know, every year. I feel like my budget shrinks every year, but my expectations from the 49ers don't. They expect me to deliver and my team to deliver properly across all of these channels. So I always say, and I think my team's really tired of hearing it, that we only have so many poker chips, right? We only have so many poker chips, and we can be all in on a product or a platform, or we can divvy it up in a gambling situation. So I kind of made a big poker chip. And I try not to use the word gamble because that's kind of a dangerous word, right? So I'd rather invest. And I take my poker chips, and like any good investor, what I do is I diversify. And these are just a few of the partners that we work with. Actually, we're a huge partner with SAP, but you can see some of the usual suspects in how we engage with our fans. Of course, Facebook, it's our #1 platform. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. There's some international companies behind me. Actually, I ran out of bubbles. I wanted to draw more bubbles, but I actually ran out. So I've had a handful that were left off. But we also have some local companies on there as well. And the idea is, how do we engage our fans using these platforms? And I think much like SAP, we typically try to think of things as whatever event it might be, whether it's a documentary we're doing, whether it's a game, we only have 20 games a year, 10 at home, or whether it is an event like a training camp event or a draft event, which I'll explain a few of these a little bit later. You know, we have a beginning, a during, and an end, right? So we try to set people up, we try to then engage them, and then, of course, we try to close it out. And so I'm going to talk about 5 products that we use that are really beginning, middle, and end products. You know, the first one's movable ink. It's a really interesting way for us. In the NFL, players get injured. I'm assuming in many leagues that happens, but in the NFL, injuries are prevalent. So if we have a documentary on a player, let's say, you know, a really good player of ours, and we're pushing out this documentary, we've sent out a little over 9.3 million emails to our fans this past year. Let's say we create this amazing documentary on a player, and all of a sudden he gets hurt, and I've pushed out an email. Movable ink allows me to actually change that email, even after it's been opened in your inbox. So I have a lot of, it's very nimble. It's a very nimble product for me. Or if there's pricing for an event, and it can be dynamic, I can change the pricing. It's very big brothery, as we would say in America, but I'm able to move some things around before my story is told. Venue Next, I believe they were here last year at Mexico City at SAS. They're a platform that we use in stadium, not unlike some of the startups that you heard yesterday, food delivery, and being able to watch video specifically on your phone. But the minute the fan gets out of his car or her car, that faithful shows up to the stadium, and they're connected the entire time. Their story begins the entire time, and they can connect to the boards. We know what they're consuming. They can get special opportunities on the sidelines, which help build their story, and they're going to socially send those things out. So if they're meeting with cheerleaders, if they're meeting with on the sideline with players, or at the tunnel where the player runs out, it's a wonderful opportunity, and Venue Next allows us to do that. Now in the game, we're shooting a ton of content, some incredible content. We're working with VR and 360. Lean had mentioned she's doing some fabulous things. You know, we're just getting started, but the NFL's a little bit behind the times, whereas the NBA's a lot more innovative. But we feel like we're ahead of that curve, and I think that's one of the nice things about being in Silicon Valley. You know, pretty much the epicenter of technology on Earth. We have opportunities to do some great things. We're working with a local company called Ziality, and Ziality is an SDK on our app that allows us to all the VR that we're shooting, all the 360 we're shooting goes on our app. And you might say, well, that's no big deal. We have that too. I think the cool thing about this and engaging with the story is that with Ziality, we're able to have this 360. And then let's say we use one of our favorite players, Navarro Bowman. He's a linebacker. He's a Pro Bowler, a very famous player on our team. If we shoot him at practice in 360, we can then show him the video, and he can actually, through the magic window, record himself and narrate what he's seeing, and then share that with the fans, and they can interact with that. So now they have their favorite player or celebrity or musician or themselves actually recreating their view of this 360, and it's a really cool product that we're digging into pretty heavily. So something that maybe would have been watched once or twice is now being watched several times. So it's pretty wonderful. And then in game, I've seen this actually out here in Europe in a few different places. Tag board's a great way for us, for people to tell their own stories. We have a lot of themed days you know, in stadiums at the NFL. Excuse me. One of them is you know, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's in October. Everybody pays homage to you know, family members who might have passed or are battling the deadly disease. And you can take pictures, and all 70,000 people can connect with our boards. It's an aggregated social platform, so we can choose and talk, you know, tell that story on the boards with all of these 70,000 fans, you know, creating user-generated content, video, and pushing it to the boards. Just another great way to keep people connected to us. And then Spreadfast is sort of the next level of that. Spreadfast, in the same vein, is an aggregated source. If I'm not sure if you folks use that here, but we can publish that now. So if a story's being told, my content team can sit back and we can allow the fans to tell the story. Whether it's a Twitter feed, whether it's Instagram imagery, and we can easily publish this and aggregate it into a very communicable piece on our site that will be the after portion of the things that I talked about. So there's some really, really fun pieces that we're working on. And this is a good example of putting all those things together. So our season, for those who don't know, runs September to middle of January, and if you're a good team, you're hopefully in the Super Bowl. And that is sort of the length of our season. We haven't played a game in a long while, but we implemented all the things that I was telling you just recently at the NFL draft. The NFL draft is 3 days of data and choosing, you know, choosing players to come to your team. It's a fairly boring event because we're basically building our roster. You're watching us make choices. But we had such incredible engagement. I don't have to go through the slides specifically, but you see a lot of green on there. And as an executive for a team, I'm very thrilled to see a lot of green because our story's being told properly. We're doing the right things. And if this is 6 months before we kick off a ball or score a touchdown or whatever we might do, this is where I want to be. This means we've made the right choices strategically to engage and using the right tech at the right times. So hopefully this carries over into the season. Stepping just a little bit away from tech, which I thought about this. I knew I was going to come here and see incredible speakers. Yesterday was eye-opening for me, just to step on a soapbox for a second. It was incredible, the diversity of the people. I think I know so many people in this room just from connecting, and even the event last night, I feel like I'm talking to friends, but it was a really cool moment for me. And I was glad that I actually baked this into my presentation because it's like the least tech thing I'm going to talk about right now. I grew up on the East Coast of the United States, a blue-collar guy, and in basically in America that means I was poor, and my family worked really hard, and before I was blessed enough to become a part of the San Francisco 49ers, you know, I was a fan. I was a fan, just like you're a fan of any sport that you like. Again, whether it's rugby, soccer, sailing, I was a fan. So before I choose anything for the faithful, before I invest in anything for the faithful, I try to think like a fan. What would I want? What do I expect? You know, is it easy to use? You know, Munir Zak from the Olympics, we talked, if you can't engage in 15 seconds with someone, guess what? You're probably not going to engage. If it takes you 30 seconds to sign on to something, that's a difficult task to overcome. So is it easy? What's the drag? We call that the drag. What's the drag on it? Is it easy to get through? And does it make my experience better? You know, again, being in Silicon Valley, you know, one of the beautiful things that the 49ers had asked me to do before I came here was they said, we want you to fail. We want you to fail, because if you're not failing, you're not trying. And I really love that about how innovative the team is. It takes on the geography of the area that it's in. But I will not put anything in front of my fans that's tech for tech's sake. So if anybody's out there and they're building something, think to yourself, like, is it just cool? Are the bells and whistles cool, or does it do something that actually gets me somewhere? Can it be monetized, of course? Does it enhance my experience? Because if it's just cool, I get 100 just cool calls a month, and I don't want them. I want something that enhances the experience. So I often think like a fan, and I ask others to do the same thing. And then I set a course, not unlike everybody in this room, too. I have goals, right? I love when the phones go up. That just makes me feel like I'm actually doing something. And I can't see anybody asleep right now, so I'm really happy. I set goals. My goals are very simple, and I can graze over this one. This one's easy. I want to connect with the faithful and give them something they can't get anywhere else. I want to connect specifically and be transparent. I want to let them into that world. And then I really want to take care of the paying customers. Our season ticket members are really important. We have a 97.3% retention rate over a long course of time, which is one of the best in the NFL. People are coming back. And we haven't been a good team for the last 3 years, but knock on wood, we're going to be good this year. But the big thing is taking my days at NFL Films. You know, NFL Films didn't deliver, you know, 3 hours of programming. They delivered this incredible filet mignon, right? And so 10 ounces of filet mignon is better than 10 pounds of steakum. If you're not from America, steakum is the shittiest, most disgusting meat you've ever eaten in your life. It looks like this, okay? Yeah, that's okay. That's awful. But I don't want people to eat that, and I think most teams are serving that to their fans. We're serving this to our fans. We're not serving that. We're serving this. And we want, if I serve this, people are going to come back all the time. And I know there's somebody out there who's like, oh my God, Rob, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat it. Nope, I put some tofu up there for you too. Okay, just want to make sure everybody's awake. I put a little tofu up there, but no matter what, that's what we want you eating. And if you come back, and you're going to come back every day to eat that. And that's really important. And just really closing out, I have a couple of simple rules. I might think I'm the smartest guy in the room, and I might have great ideas, and we've won awards and done amazing things, but the numbers are my compass. The numbers are my compass, and the analytics are super important to me. I was taught that in Kansas City specifically, and when I came to San Francisco, the brain power in the Bay is so amazing that those numbers don't lie. Use those numbers. If you're not, they will tell you what you should be putting out there. Your fans will tell you, I think somebody said that earlier, what they want to watch. And that is really, really important. And then lastly, again, taking away, this is the least techie thing you're going to hear, use the time machine. I left my phone over there, which I'm glad, because I'm sure my mom's trying to buzz me from America right now. But the anonymity of a phone is a dangerous thing. I try to connect with fans all the time. As a matter of fact, I do not shun away from a phone call, a DM, an email. We've had some troubling times in the last couple of years, and I have accepted every single phone call. And I talk to people. I'm at parties. I'm at events. I'm on the ground. I'm shaking hands. I'm talking with people. And if you're an executive of a team, or if you're trying to start a company, find out what your fans want. Find out what your fan base wants, because you don't have to hide behind what we always call our oval, right? The 49er oval. Get out there and learn what they want. And there's, hopefully this isn't being broadcast too far to the world so everybody isn't here, but if I get a squeaky wheel within 100 miles of the stadium, I will get in my car once a week and I will drive to that person's house and I will talk with that person. I will sit and have a cup of coffee, although I do vet them out socially to make sure they're not a psychopath. But I drive and I visit them because I want to know what they say. And the only way for me to truly engage properly with a team, the only way for me to truly engage properly with the fans is to get to know these fans. And that way my story is going to be told on a viral level and also just on an organic level, and it's really important. Thank you so much for giving me the stage for this. Hopefully I didn't go too late. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.